Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations. Thank you very much for joining me here on this, well, it's a Monday morning here. So if it's Monday where you are or Sunday where you are, I hope it's all going well. A quick little hello to everyone watching. Hello to Jay from the House of Moth. I'm only doing this live stream to keep him happy. There's no other reason. Hello to Dave. Hello, Dave. Apples Anonymous is here. Steve from Mac84 is here. Jack68K is here. Garth Beagle, Thomas Armstrong, John Mortz, Retro Techie, Joe Williams, Patrick Pitts, Ryan Joffrey, Sharks, Enzo, Jared. Hello to you all. If I missed anyone, I apologise. I think I got everyone, but you know, I'm only human. Okay, it is cold. That's why I'm wearing this ridiculous oversized thing, because my other ones are in the wash. So yeah, it's cold here at the moment, and I had to get up very early this morning, and I don't like it. I don't like it one little bit. On the bright side, our bathroom renovation is nearly finished. The shower screen, the glass shower screen went up today, and so not tomorrow because it needs to dry, the silicon sealant needs to dry, but the day after we will be able to start having showers inside again. Yeah! Happy about that. Okay, Micro Major Repair is here. Hello there. Those who might be thinking that I'm going to be working on Joe's SE30 board, it is not Joe's SE30 board I'm going to be looking at today. I am yet to decide what I'm going to do about that because I don't know whether I should do that video as a pre-recorded one for, you know, improved viewability or whether I should just run it as a live stream. I'm undecided. I will make that decision fairly soon. I guess I might even ask my Patreons, what would you prefer? A nice, tidy, edited video, or do you want me to just do a great big lengthy live stream? Anyhow, this is an SE30 board that was sent to me by another customer, and he sent me a whole stack of stuff, including the analog board for this and the power supply, and I'll have a look at those as well. But this one, it appears, just at a glance, to be in pretty good condition. So I will just change the camera here so that you can see just how messy my desk is. And we go here to top view. Top view. There we go. There is the board. Came in a nice anti-static bag. Let's get this out of the way. And here it is. Isn't it glorious? This is one of the earlier boards. There are two ways you can tell when they're an earlier board. One is, of course, it's socketed. The later ones had the chip soldered on. Do it live and cut it up for a video because you know it will take 84 hours. What if it doesn't? What if I get it done in 5 minutes, Steve? What then? It's not going to happen, though. Eric's Edge. Hello, Eric. Yes, so this is a socketed one, the later on, and has this little gold. And later on, the versions of this were soldered straight into the board, and they were sort of this grey colour. That's one reason, one way you can tell. The other way you can tell is the fact that there's nothing on the top of these caps. No, it's not like the ink has worn off or anything like that. These older caps, they actually had the information about the capacitor on a little yellow label around the edge of the capacitor, which melts when you hit it with hot air. So that's something we can look forward to. Yeah, but look, when you consider how old this is and how old these caps are, this board is in amazing condition. So, you know, pretty impressed. I'm seriously thinking about replacing this computer that I have in here with an iMac. I got a fairly decent iMac just recently, and I reckon it'd be nice to have that big screen. Very tempting, very tempting. It's still hot as hell here. Yeah, I hear what, I mean, there's some amazing heat going on all around the world at the moment. It's, which is quite extraordinary, I suppose. I mean, 40 degrees in London, what the hey? That's Celsius, of course. For anyone who's not familiar with Celsius, it's awesome. What do we got here? Okay, so if I fix it in 5 minutes, he'll Steve will eat his 840 AV. So when you're going to tool tidy your work desk, how do you find anything? Yeah, well, I clean it when I get to the point that I can't move in it anymore, and I know that's not the best way to do it. But it's kind of the way I do it. So I kind of reached this point where I'm just like, oh man, I haven't even got room to put this friggin' board. See, if I was going to be working on a Mac 2 today, a cleaning would have had to have been done. But the most frustrating thing about this is I cleaned this so recently. I mean, like really recently. I cleaned it just a little while ago, and it has just got messy so fast. I don't know. Is there someone I can blame? Is there someone else I can blame other than me? I'm just wondering. It'd be good if I could blame someone else. Now, we may not need it today, but I've got it anyway. I've got this great piece of kit. What is it? It's a Kaiweets KM601 Smart Digital Multimeter. Look at that. Look at it. True RMS. True RMS, not false RMS. Yeah, great multimeter. There are links in the description if you'd like to buy one. What else have I got here in this pile of stuff? I've got some leaded solder. Why would I? Unleaded solder. Lead-free solder. Why would I have lead-free solder? Because I need to do a video demonstrating different fluxes, and I have to demonstrate the fluxes that work with lead-free solder. Blame the Reefer Cap Club. Okay. It's 35 degrees C here right now, and it's the evening. I love that sort of weather. I really do. I must at least show, where is he? There he is. Hello, Joe. Hello to you. Yes, no, so I'm not actually working on your board, but I should actually, a little bit later on, I'll go up and I'll grab it so you can actually see that it is here, that I have it here, that the board has actually made it to me. So for those who don't know, basically there was this Macintosh SE 30 board that belonged to, I believe it belonged to Javier, Havemaster. He sent it to Joe for repair. Joe did a lot of trace repair on it because it was battery damaged, you know, it had all the leakage around here. And then he got to a point where he couldn't get it working anymore. He then sent it to Steve because Joe didn't have a microscope at the time. He sent it to Steve for Steve to have a look at. And Steve, you did, what, 3 live streams on it, or were they all different SE30s? I don't know. There were a few live streams from memory. And was unsuccessful. So I said, hey, you want to send it to me? So anyhow, there was a whole bunch of stuff coming out to this country, including an Apple III. So so it hitched a ride in that delivery, but then it ended up in Ballina, which is about 8 hours, sort of kind of northeast of here. It's up on the coast, near the border of Queensland, near the New South Wales Queensland border. It's up near Byron Bay. I'm sure everyone's heard of Byron Bay because that's where the Hemsworths hang out. And anyhow, it went there. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, I should have just got her to bundle them into an envelope and then just use Australia Post to send them to me. But she had to come and see me anyway. So it's like, okay, I'll bring it when I come see you. But then, of course, we ended up with COVID lockdowns, and then there was flooding in her part of the world. And things got very, very difficult. And then there was also, there were lots and lots of things going on in both of our lives, and so it didn't get here. But anyhow, I finally, this is Madeline, by the way, who has been a guest on MacYack for people who may or may not remember her. She popped by on Friday, and we went out. My wife came along. The 3 of us went out to dinner, and anyhow, I now have the stuff. Oh, and I'm not wearing any of the pins. Steve gave me some pins. I'm not wearing any. What a fool. I should have worn some. Never mind. Some badges, as we call them here. Okay. Show off your goodies. Yeah, I should, shouldn't I? That I didn't bring down here with me. It's not quite 2 years. It's not quite 2 years because the live stream when Steve was working on it was 1 year ago. So it can't be 2 years. It's physically, it's chronologically impossible. Muggy, 85, 29 degrees C, yeah, that's all right. That's nice. Got it doing different things, so that's something. Okay. So, and of course, when I do that live stream, I really need to have that opportunity where I can sit down and pay out on all the work that's been done, you know, sort of until it got to me. I can just say, oh, look at this lousy soldering work and all that sort of stuff. That's going to be the main joy. So that then Steve will never talk to me again. No, I promise I won't do that. I'll be very, very kind. I'm not going to say anything bad about any of the work that's been done so far. If I do decide that something needs to be redone, or if I wanted to redo it, I'm just going to do it without any fanfare or anything. I'm just going to do it. Has everyone
smash that like button?
Done that thing? I'm working on an Apple Lisa at the moment. It's driving me bananas, so I just wanted to let you all know that. Just makes me feel better getting that off my chest. I can't really do it on live streams because the thing's so freaking big. I can work on the boards on a live stream, but who wants to just look at a board? I mean, you know, people want to see the whole thing. This is the board that I'm working on. This is from the Lisa. This is the one that sits at the bottom, and your CPU goes in here. Your I/O board goes here. Your memory expansion goes here, and then it slides into the back of the Lisa. And there is just a ton of busted traces underneath the I/O socket. I actually have a better board. I have one of these which is in far better condition. Doesn't need any trace repair or anything like that. I can't seem to get it to work. I will get it to work, but at this stage I have been unsuccessful. And my hands are sticky now. I've got flux on them. Yuck. Right. Let's bring up the old job ticketing system and find out what job number this one is. Just in case this person watches later on, I am going to just say, I don't even know if he knows that I live stream. You know, I think this person found me through other means. I'm not sure he even knows I have a YouTube channel. So anyhow, this is for David, and we are looking at job number. This is the, no, that's not it. That was the power supply. No, okay, so it's got to be this one. This is job number 169. Here we go. And then we're going to do something, when this has been recapped, we're going to do something interesting as well. 169. We are going to test it out with this little thing. Oops. I went back to that view. I need to go back to the other view. Boing. And then boing. There we go. All right. Be back after dinner. Fair enough, Retro Techie. Eat fast. Top view. There we go. Unsubscribed. Are we going to try this? This is a Sonnet. They call it a doubler. Works in a Mac 2X and an SE30. And I've done some repair to it, and we're going to check and see if we can get this to work. It goes that way. Boing. So we'll see. We'll see. But we'll get this working first. We'll get it recapped, and then we'll try that afterwards. Generally, the SE30 is not a particularly difficult one to recap. There are, you know, in terms of the number of caps on here, it's not too bad compared to some of them. It's not like an LC2 or a Classic 2 or something like that. They're a freaking nightmare. This one's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? Anyone doing anything interesting on the weekend? I caught up with some friends on the weekend and had myself a lovely time, but I drank a little bit too much alcohol on Saturday night. But that's what happens when you catch up with old friends. Well, that's what happens to me when I catch up with old friends. I drink and be merry. I'm going to take the RAM off here. These all look like ones to me, so I'm guessing that this is 8 megabytes of RAM. And, you know, who knows, these could be 4s, but I suspect not. They're 80 nanoseconds. Typically, I find that when you get a 4 megabyte sim, they're usually a bit faster, like 70 or 60 nanoseconds. Not always the case, but with that being 80 nanoseconds, I'd be almost certain that that one is a 1 megabyte sim. Beaut thing about the old SE30 is, of course, you can load this up with 128 megabytes of RAM if you put in 8 16s. What a fun thing that is to do. I have done it once, but then I took the RAM out and put it in something else, because at the end of the day, I mean, I really don't need 128 in an SE30. So what I did is I put half the 16s in my 2CI, I think, and the other half in my SE30. And this is my SE30 here. This is mine. This is the later one that has the grey soldered in chip there. And I have 4 16s, and I think they're 2s, 4 2s. So, you know, what is that? 64 plus 8. So that's how much this has. And this was the very first board I ever recapped. So how about that? All right. My ultrasonic cleaner video had a bit of a revamp. YouTube started dishing it up. And so my YouTube channel went berserkers there for a little while. Got lots of subs and everything. Can't complain. Yeah, that's gone rather well. Pretty pleased about that. Action Retro, Sean is here. Hello there. Doubler, you get a 6806. So yes, I think it might be more likely that it's going to be the speed. So this is a 16. So this is probably like a, what are they, 33 or something they came in. So I suspect it's probably 33. But here's the interesting thing. The guy who sent this to me, he has never been able to get this to work. When he plugs it in, the computer just simply doesn't boot. And I'll be interested to see whether that happens with this as well. I mean, it could have something wrong. There's not much on here. Basically, you've got a socket on one side, and on this side, there's this IC, the CPU, this IC, and some capacitors. That's pretty much it, and a resistor or two. So, you know, I mean, in theory, I could, if it's the CPU is dead, I can put a new one of those on. I don't know how to get this frickin' heatsink off. I guess it's glued on. Something like that. Right, recapping time. So we're going to whip all these caps off. I'm going to get myself some of this Captain tape to protect my my plastic thingy here, and we'll also use some metal heat shields, but this is just an added layer of protection. With a board this old, it's probably a good idea to actually shield other components from the hot air, because the solder tends to get a bit crusty on the outside, and then when you hit it with hot air, what can end up happening is the solder surface of the solder doesn't melt because it's crusty, but what's under it does melt and just squeezes out little solder balls, and then you end up with solder balls all over the board. So it's just it's sometimes good to just sort of protect from the heat. This guy's coming off, so we may as well just do that now so he's not in our way. The way I remove these, you may not remove these the same way, but the way I do them, I just snip and a snoop, snippity snoop, and then a snip, and then another snoop, and they come off, and then I just use my soldering iron to just heat up these remaining little pins sticking there, and then just whip them out. It's nice and easy, Need some tweezers, because that's one of the most important things you're ever going to have in your workshop. Nice ESD safe sweater you're rubbing on that board there. It'll be fine. Permanently grounded, that's me. They always say that. Oh, Bruce, you're so well grounded. Oh, yeah, no, the fame hasn't got to my head, so I'm very well grounded. Right, let's get some caps off here. Going to jump across to the microscope view, and we'll see how this looks good and proper up close. Make an assessment. And scope view. There we go. A bit furry. A little bit furry, don't you think? Now, this is one that really, it looks interesting, because you can see how this trace goes along here like that, and then there's a gap, and then that there. And that's because there's a bodge wire. You can see there's a bodge wire going across to here. This was on some of the earlier ones. And the really early ones, This trace is actually complete, and they actually cut it manually. So they got the boards, and then someone has actually cut the trace manually and then run the bodge wire. But then later on, they altered the actual, the PCB so that this gap is here. And then, of course, with the next revision, they sorted it all together. Right, okay, cap time. Let's get some caps going. So we've got this little cluster of 4. This is where we normally see problems with this board. You're normally likely to see corrosion. In particular, there's one wire, specifically this one here. I think it's this one here, I think. It runs along there, or is it maybe one that runs down here, that is almost always corroded, and it's not on this one, so that brings me joy. We've got our Sony sound chips here. I have a few spares of these, but as it turns out, they don't fail very often. There are other things that fail around there, busted traces, all that sort of stuff. But most of the time when I've had a suspicion that it might be the sound chip, I swap it over with the sound chip. It makes no difference. So, yeah, rarely do they fail. Still good to have them on hand. These do fail from time to time. These are the little VRAM chips for this. And what else fails a fair bit on this? These little guys here. These are the RAM multiplexers. What's that? Yeah, it's gone now. These are the RAM multiplexers. They do fail a bit. And of course, we also generally have problems with these chips down this line here. They, all of these chips are still readily available to buy today, and I keep plenty of spares of them. So that's a really handy thing when you're working on these, that you can still buy replacement components. Hello, Joe. How many Joes have we got here now? We've got 3. Lots of Joes. Just fixed one yesterday with a bad 166393. Yep, that's common. It is common. Let's face it. But it is just so good that you can still get those parts. It's wonderful. I've got no idea if this works or not. The guy didn't tell me. He just said it needs recapping. Well, actually, that's not true. He may have told me, and I forgot. But I don't know if this one works or not. But I'm going to assume that it's going to work beautifully once we've finished recapping it. And there is a nice smell here at the moment. Just so that you all know, I know anyone who's done their own recapping and used some hot air on caps will know the smell I'm referring to. Some people are liking it to a fishy smell, but at the end of the day, it's just gross. Now, do you see all of these little solder balls forming? And you see how we've actually got some happening in here? So that'll all come out with the ultrasonic cleaner, but that's exactly what I was referring to. And that. Let's get this guy gone. And of course, the other thing I hate about these is when you're melting them with your hot air station, and that sticker around the outside melts as well. You know what, these caps I reckon I could probably just pluck off with my finger, they're so crusty. When this melts, the yellow stuff gets stuck to my tweezers, and it's so annoying. How annoying is it? So annoying. Joverdose. Ha ha! Jeez. That's a great one. Well done, Jay. That's a perler. That's a clanger, as we would say. Right. I'm going to put some gloves on because I'm getting sticky stuff on my fingers and I don't like that. I'm someone who really hates stickiness on my fingers. You know, I have been known to sometimes get up and wash my hands mid-meal. If I'm eating a hamburger or something like that and I start getting some sauce on my fingers or something, I just like put the hamburger down, get up and wash my hands halfway through eating. I know that's weird. Oh, look, that's weird. But I'm a pretty weird guy. John Walls picked up an old PowerMac 7166 from work. Free good. What is your work doing with a 7166? Got it home and it's battery bombed and caps are leaking. Ugh. Worth the effort to fix. You know what? It's a case-by-case basis. There are some that I look at and I say it's just not even worth the time. And there are others where I go, you know what, a little bit of cleaning and you're good to go. See, I had a 2VX that was battery bombed and it didn't actually look too bad. I've got a video of it on my channel. It's one of my pre-recorded ones. It wasn't a live stream. And I talk a little about the 2VX and stuff like that. or was it a 2VI? It was one of the two. And it was battery bombed, but it cleaned up and it wasn't too bad. But even still with that, it still had broken traces under the RAM slot. So I ended up having to take the RAM slot off to go and repair them. So, you know, it's very hard to tell. You just don't know how bad it's going to be. I generally don't take on battery bomb stuff anymore because it doesn't really make financial sense for me, because let's just say I spend 4 hours and it still doesn't work. What do? Do you bail and you've got them 4 hours that you either don't bill for, or you do bill for and the customer has got nothing for it? They gave you a busted board and they get back a busted board and they've had to give you money. Or do you spend more time in it? And every extra hour that you put into it is a gamble as to, am I going to be able to fix it? Or am I just sinking more and more time into it? And then you might then end up spending 10 hours and you get it fixed, and then you come back and you say, okay, that's going to be, I don't know, $800 or something like that to repair it. And people are just going to go, I could have bought a new one for that. That's crazy. So for me, from a business perspective, battery bombing it doesn't make a lot of sense. If it's for me, I'll do it because it's my time. Why not? But yeah, I mean, it's hard to really know. You got to kind of look at it and see how bad you think it's going to be. At least one RAM slot will need to be swapped as the battery leak went up and ate the first dim. Great. Yes. I mean, these days with battery bomb boards, I end up keeping them for parts. So, which is handy for me because I do need lots of parts because people bring me stuff and I need to replace parts and that. And this is something that Joe is experiencing at the moment. Now that Joe is taking on external repairs and doing a damn fine job of it, as far as I can tell. You know, but the acquisition of all those parts boards takes a long time. And, you know, there are times when it's like, oh, okay, you know, what's wrong with this? Oh, I reckon it's this. Oh, you should replace that. I was like, well, I don't have a replacement one of those. And so you have to, it takes time to go in and acquire all those extra spare parts boards. And of course, the other thing that ends up happening, I had someone donate a bunch of boards to me the other day, and I fixed them. So they're not spare parts boards anymore. They're now working boards. I'd love to get more battery bomb classic boards if anyone has any. Because I have been in you know, building all these classic reloaded boards. There are some parts I've only got a few of, and I've ended up stealing parts from other boards that were working fine. So if I have more parts, I can get more classics working. Weird. That's a big glob of component adhesive under there. See how blackened that is? You can definitely tell there's some power that's been going through that, and of course it's leaky and not good. But that's really, really blackened. That is nasty. Rip trace on that cap? No, nothing ripped. Everything's good. Yeah, share the board photos on Tinker Different, please do. Just a quick mention, of course, of Tinker Different. Tinker Different is, for anyone who hasn't heard of it, it's an online forum where, you know, geeks and nerds can all hang out and share stuff. And I have to say, I am continually amazed with the quality of stuff. So Kai Robinson, the other day, he actually just did a little bit of an audit of some of the amazing projects that are up on Tinker Different there. And he's got a bunch of links because we're doing a video. So be prepared for that. We're doing a Tinker Different video soon. And I was just looking at some of these things and how cool are they? I mean, there's this person that's designed PCBs so that you can replace some of these resistor packs like these guys. Because a lot of these aren't available anymore. Like these guys. Not this guy. These guys. Someone's made a little PCB so that you can stick some surface mount resistors and capacitors on them and build your own ones of those. And I just looked, I thought, that is just so bloody awesome. I will be happy when people have replicated, I think, the 2E board. I'd love for someone to actually replicate the 2E board for the LC. Because I want one of those, but they just go for stupid amounts of money these days. Stupid! Wooden chassis. That's Adam. The wooden chassis person was Adam McGee, who you see in the chat often on my live streams. And he is the one that made the wooden chassis. Yep, nifty little thing there, nifty little test thing. He did it, I think, mainly because he needed to test a whole bunch of CRTs. And for anyone who's worked with those, swapping out the CRTs is quite a job. So he built it so that he can just get the CRT in and out nice and easily. You can get Bourne's filters, but you're not in this format, not in this dip format. So they're, whatever they're dip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's dip 20, I guess. You can't get them in that package anymore, I don't believe. So yeah, the Bourne's filters suffered some trauma and they don't remember who they are anymore. But it turns out that those Bourne's filters have amazing fighting skills and stuff like that. And someone's out to kill them. GT, hello, welcome to the stream. Last cap, and then it's time for cleaning. There we go, off she goes. Most of these look like they're going to be pretty easy to clean, but there's a couple that are a bit crunchy. Could take some time. Yeah, can everyone smell that? Yeah. Just checking the chat. Checking the chat. Checking the chat. All good. Right, cool. And do some racing. Cool. For anyone who is wondering what that might entail, it's actually playing computer games, but GT refers to it as racing. Okay, let's get some flux onto here. We are using Amtech NC559 ASM-TF, TF standing for Tachyflux. This is probably my flux of choice. There are plenty of others that I'm happy to use, but if I am going to reach for one, that's the one I'm going to reach for. Oh, I guess he doesn't have his fume extractor on. I must put a switch on this side of the desk so I don't have to lean under it all the time. Let's get these little Q-tips out of the way. There we go. All right, so got flux on here, got fresh solder. Just going to keep rubbing around like this until I can see that the solder is actually adhering to the whole pad rather than, sort of only a part of it. Sim racing, not a game. It's a game, trust me. Sim racing is a game. You are definitely playing a game. Okay. It is a computer game. Okay. What have we got here? It's like collecting salvage ones. So yes, what's on your workshop at the moment, Joe? Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. What's on your workshop desk? You're quite the prolific repairer these days, I tell ya. Haven't seen a stream from you in a while though. When are you going to stream again, Joe? And appearing on Dave's stream doesn't count. I was very, very disappointed recently when Jay from the House of Moth got hold of a board that he was going to repair for a live stream. And I'm like, great, it's been such a long time since I saw a House of Moth live stream, really looking forward to that. Then I find out later on he repaired it on someone else's stream. JJ Brubaker is here, hello there. And I'm going to say a big thank you for the super chat. Thank you very, very much. Brucey. A lot of people call me that. Which I don't particularly mind. I didn't like being called Brucey when I was a youngster, but yeah, I'm fine with it now. Fine with it. It does not count, Jay. You cannot stream on someone else's channel and tell me that's you streaming. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Doesn't work that way. Will A. Hey, loving the channel, getting back into my electronics practice, been watching all day. Cool. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. This is one of the more popular computers that I recap. The SE30 is a very, very popular vintage Mac. Lots and lots of people like the SE30. I think primarily because it is a compact Mac, number one. And number two, it has lots of upgradability. It's got a nice PDS slot where you can pop in a little network card, or you can put in a display card. It's got 8 SIM slots, so you can really load it up with RAM. Yeah, so very, very popular, the old SE30. And so, needless to say, I get a lot of them coming across the workbench here. This crunchy stuff is just coming off so easily. I thought it was going to be a real nightmare, but it's not at all. It's remarkably clean. Little capacity here. Bit more flux. Right, hang on. Which bit of Australia are you in, JJ Brubaker? I know you've probably told me in the past, but I'm very good at forgetting things. Would you know of any good multimeter with a colour display I could purchase for my own repairs? Well, Retro Techie, it's funny that you say that. Did you know that there is actually quite an amazing multimeter out there on the market that you can buy? Lots of features and at a budget price. And it looks a little like this. And it's called the Kaiweets KM601 multimeter. You will find links in the description. We have, look at all these functions there that it does. It does this and it does that and it does the other thing and the other thing and stuff. I don't even know what that one is down there. Anyhow. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So grab yourself one today. It is a fancy display. And actually one of the things that's really good about it, the display is so big that oftentimes when I'm using it here down in the workshop, because some people have that fancy thing where they actually output their multimeters, information onto their live stream screen, which I don't, but some people do. I can just, the screen's so big, as long as it's on camera, you can read it nice and easily. It's an extremely readable screen. I have a Fluke as well, and in comparison, I mean, my ability to read the screen, especially with my old eyes, on the Kaiweets compared to the Fluke, it's a big difference. It's excellent. And I have 3D printed this stand, which you can kind of see in these little pictures here. So that's a little stand there, that allows you to stand up. Yeah, stand it while you're using it, stand. Okay, what do we got there? We've got 3 here and 1 there. We're nearly done with the cleaning. I'm going to leave that bit until last because that's the really dirty bit. We'll just see how we go with that. More forks. Okay. I was supposed to be recording a video on the weekend, but I ended up just, I ended up so busy I just didn't get a chance. Let's see how I go. I've got a little bit of work to do this afternoon, a bit of coding work, because that is how I pay the bills with my coding. And that. And I have a little bit of that to do this afternoon. Got to keep everyone happy. I'm about to sneeze. I'm about to sneeze. Jay, you got the recording ready to go? Come on. It's going to go away. Went away. Sorry. How frustrating. Everyone needs a Kaiweets multimeter. How could you say that? Everyone. The other day I had my builder here doing work on our bathroom renovation, and he said, "You wouldn't happen to have a multimeter, would you?" Because he just wanted to check to see if the electrician had been there a few days before, and he wanted to check to see whether there was power going to particular wires. You wouldn't happen to have a multimeter, would you? Would I happen to have a multimeter? Well, indeed, sir. You're going to wish you didn't ask that question. Links are in the description. Okay, so this is the nasty one here. And as you can see, it's not getting shiny like the other ones are as easily. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. There she blows, sir. Just took some perseverance. How many Kaiweets does Bruce have? In actual fact, I only have the one. I do have a Kaiweets power supply, which I need to do a review on, but I've just been so loaded up with work lately, I haven't had a chance to do any of those sorts of videos. Literally any spare moment that I have, I'm down here recapping boards because people keep sending them to me. Even when I tell people I'm not doing recapping at the moment, or I'm not taking on any new jobs, the boxes still just turn up at the doorstep. Because they're customers that have sent to me before. It's very difficult, very. Had a box turn up the other day, I haven't even opened it, I don't know what's in it. And I'm sure the person told me what's in it, but I haven't opened it to look for myself. This one's nice, I like this one. I like it. Yeah, the most frustrating thing for me at the moment are the boards that don't work. You know, the ones that need additional diagnostics. I had one board that was sent to me as an analog board, is over there, and for a classic, and the guy had gone, he'd recapped it himself, and he couldn't get it to work. And then I went and had a look, and he'd put one of the caps on backwards. Now I put the cap back around the right way. Actually, I replaced it. I put a new cap in around the right way, and it still doesn't work. So now I've got to go in and I've got to diagnose, I've got to find out what that backwards cap has done to the board. And that takes a lot of time. If I sit down on a Sunday and just do nothing but recapping, I could probably get through, I don't know, half a dozen boards, something like that. You know, I've got to have a break and stuff like that. But if I'm diagnosing, I might spend the entire day working on one board and not find the fault. So yeah, that does become very difficult. There is a modern software problem that I'd love to see a solution to. Automatic bill pay in a certain pattern rather than a set day of the month. Pay bill every other Thursday. I do not have control over things like that, so... I've got a label printer and I'm going to start labeling my recapped boards with a little sticker saying recapped by Brankus. Yeah. All right, let's get some caps onto this thing, hey? Recapping guide. SE30 is pretty straightforward. I think there's one single 1 microfarad 50 volt and all the rest are 4716s. Let's just check that and be certain, because we just want to be certain, because I certainly like to convey the image of me being professional. Classic 2FX, that's a sexy board, that is. Here we go, we're into the SE30 section. SE30. Yep, one microfarad 50 volt and all the rest 10, 47 microfarad 16 volt, and then of course we've got a couple of those axial caps which I need to put on there as well. We'll just keep that there in case I need the reference. So 1 microfarad 50 volt goes here. It's the little one on the right. Father Judy's call. Okay, thank you for joining. Do appreciate it. Ryan Joffrey. I ordered some more caps the other day. They're on the way. I also ordered a whole bunch of things for making more blue scuzzies. At the moment, I've got plenty of blue pills. I had problems getting blue pills before. I've got plenty of them now. But I just the other day realised I'm just about out of diodes and just about out of some of these other connectors and things like that. So I had to put in a big order. Should be coming in soon, actually. I ordered it from Mousy. And they are usually pretty quick getting stuff to me. I used to get it from DigiKey, but I started having trouble getting things from them. Their just stuff wasn't stocked, but Mousy had them. So I've only got 3 of these little tiny ones, so I might put a bigger one on because I can. All right. So we're going to pop him here. On the topic of diagnostics, would recapping the logic board of a Classic 2 resolve a no sound issue, or would it be best to recap the analog board as well? The no sound is almost definitely recapping on the logic board. Now, I don't know which Classic 2 you have. There are a couple of different types of Classic 2 board, but I'll grab one and I'll just show you. I got one up here somewhere. Here's one. This is the earlier revision of Classic 2 board. I'll just change the view here very quickly. So that's a Classic 2 board here. There's one version like this that has 4 ROMs like that. The other one has 2 ROMs going that way. 2 ROM chips going that way. So you got these capacitors here and these capacitors here. That little guy there, he's your sound chip. And so these caps leak electrolyte, gets into the sound chip, creates shorts, stops working. Now you can test this theory if you just get a whole bunch of isopropyl alcohol like this and you squirt it around there and you give it a really good clean and then dry it out. You might even get the sound back without even replacing the caps. I can't guarantee that, but you might. But that's removing the symptom but not the cause. So you do have to get it recapped. But yes, almost definitely get your sound back when you recap this. But be careful with the Classic 2. It is a bit of a tricky board to recap. A bit of a tricky one. Bit of a tricky one. Let that be known. I have spoken. Right, I was going to clean this a bit. Just cause. I got the new toothbrush. So I really like these plain toothbrushes. And I can only get them from like one shop, so I've got to just remember to get them when I'm there. I don't like all the fancy ones, all the different coloured bristles and all that sort of stuff. They're all a bit stupid. Stupid! Yes, that's the other thing. When it comes to no sound, recap first. That's pretty much the thing. You've got to recap first. But there is another thing as well, and that is that there's a little switch inside the headphone socket which sometimes gets stuck, and it thinks there are headphones plugged in and then doesn't make sound come out of the loudspeakers. And the way you can test that is plug headphones in, and that can then be an additional cause. The other one is there is a little amplifier on there. That amplifier can be damaged. I've only ever had that happen once before, but it does happen. Sometimes the little amplifier gets damaged, so it's producing sound, it's just not being amplified. So, but anyhow, all of these sorts of things are the diagnostics that you do after recapping. As I've said to people a lot of the time, there's really no point in going down a diagnostic path until you have replaced the capacitors, because they are a problem. Archangel, hello there, Christian Orica. I see a lot of pros use copper weave stuff over the desolder gun. Any reason other than the guns cost a lot? Over the desolder gun. No, it's actually because the desolder gun is not necessarily suitable for all purposes. So a desolder gun, in order for it to actually work and suck solder in, there needs to be airflow. So you can't use them on anything surface mount. It has to be through hole, because if it's surface mount, it just won't suck the solder up, because there's kind of nowhere for the air to go to then suck the solder up. When you're working with a through hole, you've got the pin that goes through the hole, and then you've got the solder. And you can put the solder sucker on the pin, heat it up, and then it sucks, and then the air goes through the hole as you pull the solder out. So it works really well for through hole stuff, but it doesn't work very well for surface mount. And the other problem with it is that sometimes things can interrupt that airflow. And you know, in particular, if it's a really tight fit, if you've got a pin going through a hole and the hole's only just bigger than the pin, it can be quite difficult to get that airflow, to get the solder sucking off there as well. So it's different tools for different purposes. I use wick for some things. So this mesh stuff you're talking about is called solder wick or solder braid. I use that for some things. Then you've got these big manual solder suckers like this, which it's like a pump that you prime, and then you press a button and it just sucks some air through, and then it collects the solder inside here and you can dispose of it. These are kind of handy for little one-offs, but you do have to be careful, because the jerking motion can sometimes do damage on the board if you're not careful. And then you've got the solder sucker. So for instance, yesterday when I took this off, this connector, which I'll have to probably change views here. When I do this connector that I took off, I used the solder sucker for this. I mean, you can imagine, look at how many bloody holes there are. So, in order to get these all off. But this board, the holes for these pins were actually really big, so it allowed me to get really good airflow around the pins, so it desoldered quite easily. Now, Mr. Moth has just posted something. Sorry, I just saw something that got posted. Oh, what have I done? Uh-oh. I'm about to start watching a YouTube video by the looks of things. Let's not do that. All right. Let's change back now. We'll get back to the scheduled program. Right. I wonder if you could use a kitchen oven vent to extract fumes. There are lots of things you could use to extract fumes, but I recommend getting a fume extractor because they're quite convenient. If you have a look in the description, there's a link to a fume extractor which is not expensive. I suppose it depends on your perspective on things, but it's like $70 US, something like that, and it is really good. It's got a bendy hose arm. It's very, very effective. So, Just checking here. Make sure that Scarlet Swordfish is here. Hello there. Welcome to the live stream. Don't worry, you haven't really missed anything. I was just killing time until you got here. Right, let's stick some caps on here. I've lost that. Oh, no, here it is. Thank goodness. Thought the capacitor fairies had taken it again. Right, so here's my little capacitor. Now he is virtually the same size as these little pads here. So it's a little bit tricky getting solder in underneath that. I do actually stock smaller ones now that are a little bit easier to solder on. But I've still got quite a lot of these big ones and I don't want to waste them, so I'm going to use them on this one. I was still getting that yellow crap off my tweezers. It's that yellow crap that's on the outside of the caps. SadMac356 is here as well. Hello there. Anyone doing anything interesting on their Sunday evening? Other than, of course, watching me. That's very interesting. For the folks where it is Sunday evening. What time is it now? It's 11 o'clock. So it's still reasonably early. Depending on where you are. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Get on there, you solder, you. Still yellow crap on this. Be gone. Be gone, yellow crap. Need another pair of tweezers to get them off. Gone. Oh, here's Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. We used to just call it VHS, but then he put a J in front of it, so it's JVHS now. Cleaning, lots of cleaning. Yeah, I've heard about cleaning. I don't do it much, but I've heard it's good. Turning to try and get an image writer 2 to communicate with modern PCs, if that counts as interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, if Mac84 is still in the chat there, he'll be pretty excited to hear about that. He does love his image writer 2s. I used to love printing the colour with those, you know, that was really nifty. Because of course colour printing was sort of out of most people's, you know, sort of price range back then, certainly in homes. And I know it was pretty lame colour, but it was still colour. Pretty cool. Watching Usagi Electric Channel, watching him restore a Centurion microcomputer. Cool. Okay, I just want to get this pin out while I'm here. I'm just going to get some solder on the end of my iron so that I can kind of wrap the pin in solder like that. Just helps me get better heat transfer. And then hopefully I can then remove this pin. This has got to be connected to ground because it is not coming out easy. It's not giving up its secrets. Come on, Neon. There we go. Got him out. Let's do the same for this one. That was probably all off camera. I didn't even check. So once again, I'm just going to get some solder wrapped around the pin. Just makes it easier to get out. Then we use a little bit of solder wickaroonie to get the solder out of that hole. Come out, solder. Stop it. There we go. He's out. And when you end up with a situation like this where you're having trouble getting the solder out, a couple of things you can do. First of all, you can add some more solder and try it again. That'll often work. We'll do that. Oopsie. I think we will get this one. We'll see though. Whoopsie. Oh, come on, you. Okay, so that's one way, of course, as I say, is to add solder and then try and get it out. Doesn't always work, didn't work that time. Another thing you can do is get more heat on it. So I can get a great big massive soldering iron tip that transfers huge amounts of heat. Which if I can just find the friggin' thing. Where are you, big tip? Come on, big tip. Where has he gone? Who took it? I probably dropped it somewhere. This one might work. This one's a big fat tip. Big fat tip. Yeah, we'll have to try this one. My good one is gone. I don't know where it is. I might. Oh, maybe it's attached to one of my other soldering irons. It's always possible. It's always very possible. Like that one. There we go. Glad I thought of that. Come on. What's going on? Retro gaming PC. That is not my area of expertise. So this tip was in my little capacitor soldering iron. I keep a few spares. I've got three spare soldering irons. It's always good to have a few spares. I've got a what do you call this one? Hacko knockoff, which is, you know, it works well. I've got a Ksger, Ksger. That one works really well, actually. Happy with that one. And happy to recommend that one. That one's in the description. And then I've got one of those little ones, the, what are they, TS 100 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they're called. But they're a nice little soldering iron as well. But just always good to have a few spares in case one fails or whatever. Right, so now we're going to have another crack at this with this great big fat tip. Like that. And we'll see if we can get enough heat in there to make that solder come out. See if we can coax it out. Yeah, we're pretty much there. There's a little bit left on the other side, but I can get that from the other side. Just watch me. Watch me. Where is it? 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 Don't make me flip the board over again. You're going to make me flip the board over again. Yeah. Okay, there it is. It's there, it's there. It's there, some more. I'm just going to give a little tip. I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, I filled it up again. There we go. It's free, it's empty. So that's another way. If you've got a really big soldering iron tip, you get a lot more heat transfer and you then can get the solder out. Then the third way, if you're phoning, is to use soldering needles, where you can heat it up. They're stainless steel, and you can heat them up and then poke them through the hole, and then pushes the solder out of the way. So that's the third way. Let's get these other ones off while we're here. And I also want to I want to point out for anyone who might be recapping an SE30 at any stage, just to give you a little tip pointer thingy, something to look out for when you're dealing with them. There is a little trap that you can fall into sometimes. It has happened to me before. And so I'm going to share that knowledge, because that's what I do. I share knowledge. I haven't looked at the chat in a little while. Isn't that rude of me? Going through the wick today. Had an experience with solder paste, the one with the multi balls, I think. So yeah, so they're essentially solder paste is little tiny weeny little solder balls suspended in flux. and you basically put it down and then it melts and it forms into whatever you want it to form into. I don't like using it very much. I have tried using it before and I couldn't really get it to work the way I wanted to. I use solder paste when I'm reballing BGA chips, ball grid array chips. That's what I use for that. But other than that, I don't use solder paste and stencils. So obviously, you can get a thing called a stencil, which allows you to lay it over top of a blank board, and then put solder paste, and the solder paste just comes out where the holes in the stencil are, and then you just use heat to melt that solder paste and solder components on. That's not the way I like to solder. I like soldering, sort of traditional style with an iron. It's just the way I like to do it. Just like it. Connection, do you like just doing low melt soldering flux? Yeah, I'm quite happy to just take on like connectors and stuff like that. So it really does vary from job to job. So let's just say, for example, I was replacing a connector on a board like this. Let's say I was going to replace, this has no connector on it. Yeah, there it is. Let's say I was going to replace this connector here. That one there. Now obviously if I just hit that with a soldering iron, that's going to completely melt. If I needed it gone, it doesn't matter, I can melt the crap out of it, who cares? But if I wanted to keep that connector and not destroy it, what I would generally do is I use my hot air gun and I'll apply heat on the underside of the board. And that will heat through eventually, and then it'll just melt the solder that's making contact with the board, and then I can just slide that off. Nice, pretty quick and easy. You can also use, like a heated bed, that they get up to like 250C or something like that, and you can just drop the board on top and it heats through, and then you can lift components off, generally without melting. Particularly on a new board like this. These sorts of plastic components are made quite temperature resistant. That's not to say you can't melt them, of course you can, but they can actually handle quite a lot of heat before they start to melt. Never get anyone to talk to you about soldering. I do a ton of retro mods and fixes, and basically fly solo with YouTube vids as a guy. Yeah, look, this is what I'm here for. This is one of the reasons why I do live streams, is because it does give people an opportunity to ask questions about stuff that I'm doing. And I can only give you the information that I know. I mean, obviously, if I don't know something, I'm not going to make it up. I'm going to tell you I don't know. But certainly in the instance of, the stuff that I am knowledgeable about, I'm more than happy to share that as much as possible. So we now need 10. Glad I got more of these coming. 10 of these 47 microfarad 16 volt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, let's get some more flux on here. Someone texting me to ask me to stop singing. Could you stop singing, please? Okay. It does take me a lot longer to recap things when I'm doing live streams. I will say that, because of course I need to chat away. Clock is only 4 minutes off. That is impressive. That is impressive. I can thank the little crystal for that. Mac 84 should sing. Mac 84 does sing. I've heard Mac 84 sing on his streams many times before. The voice of an angel. Our Steve. Can't believe I didn't. He gave me some goodies. Gave me some badges, some pins, whatever you call them. And I forgot to bring them down. I feel so stupid. Okay, 2 caps down. I can sing at a semi-pro level. Oh. I did actually sing in a band when I was younger. I wasn't very good, but I still did it. When I were a younger man, slightly less fat. Boop, 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 boop. Just keeping an eye on the chat here. Everyone seems to be content chatting to each other, so that's all good. If you ask me a question, if anyone asks me a question, I don't answer. It's nothing personal. Oftentimes, I just don't see the chat. I don't see bits of the chat go through. And this software that I use, which is called Ecamm, strangely enough, it doesn't highlight the messages that come through addressed directly to me. So that's a bit annoying. And I don't know why, but it doesn't. There are a few technical limitations of this Ecamm software. One in particular, like it allows me to show up super chats. That's great. I can bring up a super chat on screen. I can bring up comments on screen. So if someone says something particularly poignant, I can bring it up. But when someone does a super sticker, it doesn't have the ability to show what the super sticker was. So if it's like a jelly bean waving his hand or something, rather than showing the jelly bean, it will describe it. It will say, "You just received a super sticker, jelly bean waving his hand," and it kind of loses something, you know. Oh, piffle! Sorry, when I'm doing these, I like to get them straight because if you don't, they just stick out. And this one's not straight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. I'm going to solder this side, get that anchored, and then I'm going to come around to this side, and I'm going to melt and nudge. There we go. Now he is straight. I want to be straight. I'm sick and tired of taking drugs to stand up late. Oh no, look what I've done. No, it's alright, it's fine. I haven't done it. I haven't done it at all. Everything's fine. That one looks like he is a little bit different. Is it noticeable? No, he's alright. He's okay. No sound through speaker, not through the headphones, and not through headphone jack connected to an amplifier. There you go. So that pretty much nails it. That you got to recap that, chappy. Recappy chappy. I haven't mentioned yet in this live stream that I have a Patreon for anyone who feels like they want to contribute even just a small amount towards the channel to help out in things, you know, in some of the stuff that I buy to use on the channel. Everything, when it comes to any of these sorts of things, whether it be me getting money from affiliate links in the chat or anything like that, I always invest that money back into the channel. I don't use it for going on holidays or anything like that. So, for example, one of my more recent purchases from that was an LCR meter, which is here. It's a great big blue thing, and it looks awesome. Don't you reckon that looks awesome? That's my big blue thing, and that's an LCR meter, and I bought that with my Amazon affiliate link money. And these are all these things that can sort of just help in the channel and the content and the repairs and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there is a link, I think, in the description to my Patreon if anyone feels compelled to, you know, contribute some of their hard-earned. Whoopsie. Okay. I'm hungry. I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch today. I feel like having something naughty for lunch today, like a hamburger or something like that. Yoop. 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 Sorry, is there a dancing pear? Oh, here we go. Okay, this is what it is. Thank you very much, Steve. Pear character holding his belly, laughing out loud. Thank you for proving my point. Thank you for contributing $4.99 to prove my point. Thank you very much for that. Lemmings. How playable is Lemmings? You know, say what you want about it in terms of it being vintage and everything, but you can fire up Lemmings even on a Mac Classic, and it is so playable. It's so much fun to play that thing. You just find yourself getting addicted to it. Let's go. I watched the last episode of the latest series of The Boys last night. That was quite an episode, quite a finish. Don't know if people have been watching The Boys on Amazon Prime, but in my opinion, that is one of the best shows to be on TV in a long time. It is so good, and I love the satire. It is just brilliant. Brilliant. And what his name is, Anthony Starr or something, the guy who plays the part of Homelander. He is so good. Just absolutely brilliant. And he is a Kiwi, in case people didn't know. He is a New Zealander. Same as the guy who plays the part of Billy Butcher, which is Carl Urban. Or Urban, I'm not sure if it's Urban or Urban, but anyhow. He is also a New Zealander. I'll get rid of the little pear character holding his belly, laughing out loud. Keith Urban. Keith Urban. Keith Urban is a different person. That's Keith Urban is the country singer, I think, isn't that right? He's Australian. One of the things I've always liked to tell people about Keith Urban is that country's not that big out here in Australia. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people that listen to country and they'll probably get mad at me for saying that, but really country is not a big thing. If you look at the music charts at any given time here, you won't find any country songs in them. And I had never even heard of Keith Urban before. I didn't hear of him until after he was successful in the US. So he was already a household name over there, and I'd never even freaking heard of him here. I'm sure the people in country circles had, but because I'm going to come out and just be quite honest here, I hate country music. Sorry to anyone who I might have offended by saying that, but it's just how I feel, man. And let's face it, if we were all the same, where would the fun be? Watch this later, I have to get ready for work. No worries, Wayne 3225. Thank you for dropping by. How long have I been going for, by the way? An hour and 20 minutes. That's not too bad. Generally want to try. I want to try and keep this to about 2 hours if I can. Just because it is a work day here. It is Monday, and I do have other stuff that I need to do. But this is one of the things that I had wanted to get done this weekend. I wanted to recap this SE30, and I ran out of weekend, and so I thought, well, I'll get it done today, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get this recapped, and make sure that YouTube doesn't forget who I am. Because if you don't do content regularly, YouTube forgets who you are. Just a little reminder, I'm here. I am getting very, very close to 30,000 subscribers at the moment. I don't know if anyone's seen the numbers there. It's like 29,300 or something like that. I would say at the rate that I'm going at the moment, I'll probably hit 30, say 1 to 2 weeks, I would think. It'd be a nice little milestone to hit. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, who rock up to these live streams that I do, and keep the chat busy and all that sort of stuff. You know, sold the balls. Right, well that was the last cap. No, well, sorry, that's a lie. That was just a bold-faced lie. That is the last tantalum cap. I've still got 2 more to do, and they are axial electrolytic. Axial meaning the pins come out either side rather than coming down together. If they're coming down together, it's called radial, and if they're coming out the sides, it's called axial. So we need a 220 and a 470. Let's get me a little, here we go. 220, 470. Yeah, 470. 220. There we go. Love it. Gotta love it. Oh, what fell down? Oh, mousey. There's a mousey. Joe's computer means when you're streaming next. Oh, look at this. Dana does stuff. He said, hello, Dana. I've been saying strope it a lot, and you haven't been here to hear it. Please define what a video game is for me. Can I please define what a video game is? A video game. So video game versus computer game, or are we calling them all the same? I mean, ultimately, a video game for me is a computerized simulation of some sort of thing. That outputs that to a screen of some sort. I don't know. Why am I getting this challenge? Why am I getting this challenge, my kind sir? Here's my thing. I've got this thing which doesn't work very well, and I need to make a better one, but it'll do. This is a thing that allows me to get my caps, top view. I'm going to get my caps like this and bend the pins in the right spot for the holes. So I'm going to get that there and bend the pins. Bend the pins. Doom is computer game. So we're saying a video game is actually a separate purpose-designed console. Is that what we're saying a video game is? So like a, I don't know, what are these things? Nintendo Wii or something. That is a video game as opposed to playing a game on a computer. Would that be correct? I don't know. Yeah, never been a huge game player. I used to play a bit of stuff in the olden days. Gonna just change here to scope view. I really don't need the microscope for this bit. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's a through hole. Okay, yes, this was the thing I wanted to mention. I wanted to mention something very important. When you're working with an SE30, be very, very careful of something. I'm going to show you. I'm going to demonstrate. Okay, let's give that a snippety snoop. See if I can actually demonstrate this. One of the things about the old SE30 is it has all of its little vias filled up with solder. Don't ask me why, but it does. So all the little vias are filled up with solder. Now if I get my iron here and I just run this here with a bit of flux, and maybe you get some fresh solder here, perhaps even. I'm just going to tidy these up a little bit. You can see that I'm heating up these vias. I'm just going to do this, get a bit of fresh solder. A little bit too much, but never mind. Okay. What are you doing, Bruce? I know that's what everyone's saying right now. What are you doing, Bruce? Why are we watching you do this thing that doesn't need doing? If I had done that, right, and then I go around to the other side, what ends up happening is that area where I was running heat, it's these little blobs. Now, if I just come at this with an angle, might need to roll this out a bit. These are the blobs. You see how where I was running the iron over those vias that are full of solder, the blobs have come through the other side, like that. Now, you end up with enough solder blobbing out like that, they can actually sometimes touch, because some of these are really close together. Some of them are like ridiculously close together, like here. See how close together some of these are? And so that solder could blob down and actually end up touching. And you can end up creating shorts on the board. So just be aware of that. That's something that can happen on the SE30. Never seen it happen on any others, but I have seen it happen on the SE30. So if you've done some work on one of these and then you go to fire it up and it doesn't work, have a look out for that. You know, just have a look at the board underneath and see that you haven't got any of these little massive blobs that are actually then joining together. So a little tip from Uncle Bruce today. Video game requires a screen, and to find screen, programmable vector or raster display. So is the Vectrex. Does the Vectrex count? How feasible would it be to recap with just a soldering iron? It is feasible. So getting the caps off is the biggest trick. A lot of people just tear them off or clip them off. And I think the risks of doing that are quite high, that you might damage a pad. So I don't recommend it, but there are a lot of people that do it. Or there are ways you can get a cap off with a soldering iron and some wick and some flux, where you kind of melt one side and then you try and lift a little bit, and then you try and melt the other side and lift it a little bit. You can do that. I have done it before. I've demonstrated it on one of my recapping videos. Don't ask me which one. It's all right, there's only a couple of hundred there, so you'll find it. Yeah, I have actually demonstrated the removal of a cap. Might have been on my SE30 recapping video, I'm not sure. So I think at the end of the day, yeah, I think at the end of the day, the whole question about the video game probably doesn't matter that much. So I wouldn't. Don't let anyone. Don't worry yourselves, okay? Don't worry yourselves about it. Right, got one more cap to put on. One more, just one. It tells you. That is there. So just going to get this one here. Whenever I put on axial caps like this, I always put them so that you can read what's on the cap. You can see the measurement by just glancing at it. You don't have to remove the cap or anything like that. I do that for whoever works on it next time. Make their life a little bit easier if they can see the size of the cap. Okay, here comes the last cap, and then we'll be able to test it. And then that will make us happy. Okay, minus. Generally, those old axial caps are usually fine. You could get by with not replacing them if you couldn't be bothered. I replaced them because people are kind of paying me to do this stuff. So I was like, yeah, okay, well, I can tell you now, all the caps have been replaced. Or all of the electrolytic have anyway. I'm not going to replace all those little ceramic ones. No way. It'd take for ages. Right, time for some testing. Justin is here. Hello, Justin. Okay, top view, 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 top view. There we go. Here is one recapped Macintosh SE 30 board. Let's get this Captain tape off, which I've now made impossible for me to remove. Here we go. Zippity zap, zippity zap. To me, the concept of a video game, it's that it's computerized. That's kind of how I sort of feel about it. Computerized with a video display, whether it be a raster display or a vector display like a Vectrex. That's how I see it. As in, it's separating it from, say, a game like a pinball. If you had a pinball simulator on the video game, that becomes a video game then. As I said before, pretty much all games are simulations anyway. Right. Let's put some RAM. We'll just start off by putting 4 in, because I'm going to have to take them out again for ultrasonic. So we'll just pop the ROM in. Got to start with that. And then we'll get 4 of these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're going to have, so when they're in banks of 4, so you have to have all the same in each bank. So I can have 4 ones in here and say 4 4s, but you wouldn't do it that way because you've got to have the biggest one in bank A, which is the bottom one. So you can have 4 4s, 4 1s, but you can't have like 2 1s and 2 4s. That's not going to work. They've got to be matching across the 4. Now this may not work because it hasn't been cleaned, so just set expectations accordingly. But having said that, I do find most SE30 boards will work without cleaning first. A lot of the boards that I work on do need cleaning, things like a Color Classic. Got to clean them before you, after recapping. So many times the Color Classics I recap and they don't work, I ultrasonically clean them, zabing, it works. I asked about the video games because I was told that GT was resisting that description for his racing game. Yeah, so no, essentially what happened is I said he was going to play games and he said, it's a racing simulation, not a game. And I said, it's a game. All, as I said before, I mean, all games are simulations. A first-person shooter, you're simulating walking around an area. You know, they're all games are a simulation of some sort. So yeah, I was just basically saying that you can't say that a racing simulation is not a computer game or a game, video game, computer game, whatever game. That was essentially the point that I was making with that. Right now, time for a test. So in order to do that, I have to find my SE30 case, which is here somewhere. Hello, SE30 case. My goodness, you're dirty. You need it clean. Dirty. Dirty. Did I turn on my other camera? Let me just give this a quick wipe. Have we got any? Oh, I have. I've got some cleaner in here as well. So I can clean it a little, just a little. Clean. Doesn't have to be super clean, but just a little bit better than it was. Looked gross before. This needs a proper clean. I mean, this is one of my favourite computers. It really deserves to be kept clean. Don't you? Yes. All right. So I think I might give this a proper clean this afternoon. Make him feel happier. Let's check and see if I turned on the other camera, which I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So I'm going to turn it on because this is the camera that's good for shooting the desk here. Just going to zoom out a bit. There we go. And we are already on the right frame rate. So I have a I have this camera set to match the screen refresh rate, so we don't get any flippity flappity. You're a dirty, dirty girl. Sorry, I had to say it. That's yeah, Stewie from Family Guy. Right, now I'll show you something cool here. If I just change camera views for a sec, I'm just going to go to side view, if it works. Are you going to work side view? Yeah, it works. I have made this little holder here for a Blue SCSI, which sits at the back so you can pop your little card in and out. This one also has a SCSI 2 SD in it, which is currently not connected, but yeah, I just thought I'd show people that. And of course, if you do that in the right color, it looks perfect on the back. When you put the case on, it looks really, really good. So yeah, little Blue SCSI in a holder that I made. I designed it, did. Mine's best. Other people have designed the same thing, but mine's better. Just cause. Okay, now, I don't need to actually put the board in. Oh, I need it for the sound. Yeah, I want to test the sound, so I'll put the board in, but if I have to do any further testing, I will test it externally. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is just going to check to see that we get a chime. I'm not actually going to boot it up yet. Just the chime. Just the chime. There we go. And see that we get like a question marky facey thingy, which we're all familiar with. Right, now, I'm going to check. This is all. Just get a. Where is it? Here we are. Yeah. This needs a little bit more cleaning here. It's a little bit dirty. Okay, I better check on this. Really nice place for the Blue SCSI. Thank you. I think so. SE and the SE30 use the same, is that meant to be case or chassis? But anyway, either way, it's, yeah, they are pretty much the same. And the power supplies are interchangeable, all that sort of stuff, so. Analog boards interchangeable. Flight Simulator is not a game, it's a toy. I still think it's a game. Would that fit in an SE? Absolutely, yes. So yes, the answer that someone is there, the same chassis. So yeah. If life was a video game, I would still suck at it. If life was a video game, I would just go straight for the cheats. Really, wouldn't you? I mean, that's what I do. I mean, when I play games like Doom and stuff like that, I just go straight into the cheats. I prefer the adventure. I don't want to get killed all the time. This is one of the reasons why I'm not really much of a game person. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Right, okay, so I think we can plug this in now. Okay, I'm going to grab some power. Whoopsie. I'm going to plug this sucker in. Shebang-a-bang. And 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Lovely sounding chime. Gotta love that sound, don't you? This is my SE30, which of course people often comment on the fact that I have the screen adjusted so that it fills the whole friggin' thing. And people go, no, it's not meant to be like that. It's supposed to be, and it's like, it's mine. I can make it any way I want. So, okay. There's greetings. What a lovely Mac recap. Greatest of the black and white compacts. I would agree with that. What I missed since the start of the video? Not a lot. Essentially, I got hold of an SE30 board in very, very good condition. I mean, for the age that it is, ridiculously good condition. And recapped it. A little bit of cleaning needed to be done around one of the caps there. I don't know if it worked before. I suspect it probably did because it was in such good condition. Maybe it didn't have any sound. It's very common that these things don't have sound if they haven't been recapped. And recapped it. And it's chimed and that's all good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do something a bit more interesting. So if anyone who is here waiting for this moment, going like, come on, man, we want to see this, man. I'm now going to try and put an accelerator in it. Or essentially it's a faster CPU. And it was made by Sonnet. And they called it a doubler, I think is what they called it. And I think that's because it doubles the CPU speed. Now, here's the interesting thing. The person who owns this accelerator, they sent it to me and it had broken pins. But he also said he's never been able to get it to work properly. Now, did it not work properly because those pins were already damaged? Or does it not work properly because it's busted? And that's what we're about to find out. And essentially what he said is that when he connects it to his SE30, he just gets nothing. It's just dead. So we're going to try it and see what happens. Ugh, excuse me when I put this down. God, they're heavy. Far out. You need to find a Micron Exceed raster board upgrade. Well, there are our friend Bol, who made those accelerators and stuff like that. He has built a replica that provides 256 shades of grey to an SE30. And I am trying to get hold of one early so I can do a video on it. But I haven't heard from Bol in a while. I probably need to give him a tap on the shoulder and just see how it's going. I mean, he could have other stuff happening, who knows. But yeah, saves us from actually trying to find the Micron Exceed. We can now actually get replicas of it. So how cool is that? It's all kinds of cool. Right, so we're going to need to take the CPU out. And I do that with my little CPU removal tool, which is actually not a CPU removal tool at all. Nothing like it at all. And just checking. 100% overclock can't be good for an 030 without a heatsink. Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, it's not just a straight overclock. It's another CPU. So it's a whole new CPU here, which is actually I assume 33 megahertz CPU. Right there. And it does actually have a heatsink on it. It's not much of a heatsink, but it is a heatsink. So anyhow, going to whip out this CPU. Now, this tool here that I've got is actually designed for removing pins from watch bands, you know, if you want to do that. And I've just found it to be really good for getting CPUs out. So the way I do this is I just go in the edges and I just work my way around and lift the CPU off that way. I'm sure people will say, oh, you're doing it wrong, you don't do it that way, that's wrong, don't do it that way. But I just find this is the way that works for me. So stick with it. It's a good idea. I generally take these CPUs off when I do ultrasonic cleaning, because the ultrasonic cleaning makes the writing come off this little gold section. And although it has no impact on the functioning of the computer, it does destroy some of the aesthetics, some of that vintage aesthetic. So when folks do send me these ones, I will generally take this CPU off for the ultrasonics. Can that go in there? Can that go in there? Will that go in there? Does it go in there? Sort of. There we go. Let's pop him in there so he doesn't get lost. Right, so let's get this thing on here. Now, I had a very interesting thing. So this basically had a socket at the bottom, and that socket had broken pins on it. And I tried to kind of replace just a couple of the pins, but I could not get that socket off without destroying it. So the socket got destroyed. So what I then ended up doing is I ended up making this connector from scratch using headers, which I can't find anywhere. I have a bag of them here somewhere. I can't find them, so I'm not going to worry. I did them with the little rows of headers. They're at exactly the same pitch. So I did some dual and some single, and I rebuilt this connector using that. So who knows if it's going to work. I mean, because as I said, the complicated thing with this is, I mean, I don't even know if this card works at all anyway. Yeah. Come on. I know this goes in because I've tested it in another computer. I tested it in a 2FX, I think. So, but I'll just make sure that these holes all line up. Put the two there. Yeah, okay. I have got it on the right way. I just need to be more brutal with it. Okay, there we go. It's on. May never get it off again, but it's on. I'll just have to say to the guy who sent me this, I'll just say, look, you're going to just have to buy this customer's SE30 board as well. Now, I need my extenderoonie cable. Extenderoonie. I think he's connected to one of my classics at the moment. Just bear with me. I've got two of them because I always lose them. But I don't know where the other one is. So I sort of only have one of them. And I sort of don't know where it is. And I sort of suspect it might be here. But it sort of isn't. Could I have done something really wacky and actually put it away? I could have. I mean, it's possible that I actually put it somewhere neat and proper and that. It is possible. Keep looking, you'll find it. Keep looking. The worst comes to the worst, I'll just have to not use it, but I'd rather not have to put the board inside. And it's probably just lying around here somewhere. Oh, that looks like suspiciously like it could be it. Ta-da! Ta-da! There it is. So, what this allows me to do is start up with the board outside. Like this. Now, I would like to be able to hear the chime, but I can't be bothered putting the board in. So, let's get... Excuse me. Come on. There we go. Be very careful when you're working inside these that you don't destroy this CRT. I've only done it twice in my life. Once in the 90s and another time last year. But it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling when you wreck a CRT. You're kind of like, oh, no. Right. Let's spin this around so that you guys can see the screen. Yeah. There we go. Right, I'll just hold this here, because why not? Don't answer that. Right, let's plug him in. Now, of course, we won't know if this has worked until after it started up or whatever, because there'll be no chime, because I'm not plugged into the speaker. So, powered on. Oh, friggin' A. Check it. It works. Wonder how hot it gets in that box. At least it's got a fan. Sam Perner, is that right? Hello to you. I don't think I said hello to you. Hello from Emily and Sam from Birmingham, Alabama, USA. Hello to you. Hello from Sydney. where it is turning into a very nice day, actually. It was all foggy this morning. Caused all sorts of strife at the airport and stuff like that, but it's actually, the sun's just got rid of that fog, and it is a lovely day. Blue sky's beautiful, which is good because it's been raining terribly here. All right, we need to, of course, go in and do some sort of inspectoring things to go in and see that we're getting the ooh, sorry, that was a horrible noise. Make sure we're getting the faster CPU. Now, here's the question, and think carefully before answering. Where's my blue SCSI or SCSI 2SD or something? Did I take them back inside? Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Now, what tool would people recommend I use in order to find out the CPU? Snooper will do it. I know I've got Snooper on my my SCSI thing. Actually, I've got this blue SCSI. I wonder what's on it. I've actually, this one that I've made the case for, I've got this blue SCSI here, so get out. I just dropped the mouse. Not good for the mouse. Be careful, don't do what I'm doing here and mucking around with this while it's connected to the mains power. That's just stupidness. Okay. Okay, so that's going to go there. I probably should just put it in the box. It'll probably be easier, but never mind. Never mind. It's Bruce Be Stupid Day today. I am very, very pleased that this accelerator works. I'd love to have it. I mean, just to have it. I don't really need it. Got to about 36°C here today. Ugh. I love that weather. We just didn't get much heat in the last summer at all. Of course, it's winter here at the moment. Friggin' cold. Got up this morning really early and it was cold. I mean, Sydney cold. I realise it's not like Canada cold or something like that, but it's still cold. Okay, we're booting into a blue SCSI. Oh, it's got a green light. Oh. That's interesting. It's ticking. I wonder if I need to recap this power supply if I haven't already. Why would it be ticking? Still loading. Oh no, it restarted itself. I wonder if it's going to do that again. Yep. Restart it again. We've definitely got power sort of issues, power regulation type issues. My guess is this analog board probably needs to be seen too. I don't think I've done anything on this analog board because because it's mine. I only repair things when they need repair. I don't kind of do any of that preventative maintenance other than obviously recapping that I know is causing damage to the board. But this is an interesting one. Okay, we're getting a little bit further this time. There we go. So don't do that again. Don't do that again. Right, so what have we got here? Now, what was the thoughts that people had? Reverse engineer the CPU upgrade and schematics to PCB and clone away. Yeah, I mean, it's this one here. I reckon you could do it just with like a fairly basic photo. It's really simple. There's not a lot to it. I think it's only two sides to the board. I don't think there are any middle layers. And there are probably only a dozen components on there, you know. So it's very tempting to actually photograph it and replicate it, make it again. Yeah, tempting. The CPUs are definitely still available. What's that? I can't read that because it's too small and my eyes are bad. And there's a couple of other chips there that I suspect you could probably still get. A couple of ceramic capacitors, a couple of resistors. There's two tantalum caps there by the look of it. Yeah, straightforward stuff. It's wonderful. All right, so let's go in and we'll just first of all have a look at the Apple menu. about this Macintosh. And he's saying he's in SE30, which is good. He's got 4 megs because I only put 4 of the Sims in. That's fine. We're starting into System 7.1, which is my favourite operating system for this particular computer. I think it's a good balance of functionality and speed. I won't replicate it. I'll just take really good photos of it and give it to Kai. I'm me lazy. He could do it way faster than I could anyway. So let's have a look here. We'll go to Utilities. And we'll have a look at Snooper. Because as I say, Snooper does allow you to get a bit of... There's Tattletech or something? I can't remember. What's the name of that one that allows you to... tells you all sorts of stuff about your computer. I'm not even sure if I have it on here. Snooper. If it's only a 2-layer, hold the PCB between you and very bright light. How about the sun? Will that work? Yeah, I mean, when you look at the board, it would make no sense to me for it to be more than 2 layers. There's just not enough going on. Right, let's go here to help. Nope. Info. That's what it is. Info. System info. I should have done CPU. Okay. Info. CPU info. CPU info. There we go. 68030. 31 megahertz. Accelerated. Look at that. Does look a little bit rusty at the top of that metal. Yes, it is. It is. I mean, it's crazy that I haven't recapped this. It's my own friggin' board. I mean, it's got to be done. I've got all the caps to do it, and I know how to do it. I just need to do it. I'm pretty sure I did the power supply, but not the analog board. I think I might have done the power supply for one of my videos. So there we go. We have got 31 megahertz instead of the standard 16. Shall we fire up a little bit of speedometer and see what goes on there? Now, have I got that in utilities or have I got that in applications? That's a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer it. Speedometer, there it is, 4.02. So I'm using this mouse on my leg and I'm watching the live stream video, which is a little bit on the tricky side because it's slightly slower. Speedometer. Yeah, 16 megahertz for the SE30. It is easy to forget that it's very slow. I mean, you take, for example, when people talk about the Color Classic. The Color Classic is like, oh man, that thing is just so slow at 16 megahertz 030. It's the same as an SE30. So people praise the SE30 as being this powerhouse, and then they criticize the Color Classic as being slow, and yet they've both got the same clock speed. So, okay. Not yet, not yet. I mean, I would like to register it, but I think they've all gone home. Tests. Run all tests. Okay. We'll use this, doesn't really matter which disk I use at the end of the day, but here we go. CPU. This is comparing it to an 040, so of course it's going to come up with quite a low score because it's only an 030. But we can of course compare it to other things later on. Rather have the Color Classic. Can't stick as much RAM in a Color Classic though. Yes, definitely faster than the Xerox Alto. Doing the disk, there we go, 0.5, 0.4, 1. Okay, now it's going to do all of its little mathy things, and then we'll compare it to the old normal what do you call it, SE30 and just see how it goes. 2CI is my favourite computer, Eric. When people often ask me what my favourite is, and of course it's hard for me to really narrow it down to a single one. The truth is there are lots of computers that are my favourite. And the SE30 is my favourite, and the SE is my favourite, and the 2CI is my favourite, and the Quadra 700 is my favourite, and the Quadra 950 is my favourite. But anyhow, the 2CI really has to be up there as like one of my absolute all-time favourite computers. I love them. And that's mainly nostalgic. It was one of the first kind of powerhouse computers I used when I first started working. So at the time that I started working with Macintoshes, it's not first started working, but when I first started working with Macintoshes in the 90s, the 2CI was the Duck's Guts. That was the big one. And I didn't get to use it very much, but you know, when I did, it was like, whoa, man, this thing is so fast. And there are lots of other computers that I quite like these days now too. I quite like the Beige G3 Tower. Don't know why, but I just like that one. Slow because of the crippled bus, that's right. So was it 16-bit bus or something like that? SE30 is loads faster. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if we can do a comparison. Analysis. System comparison. And it's going to first up show us comparing us with ourselves, I think. Machine records. Okay, so this machine. So on the left is this machine and on the right is this machine. What we'll do this time is we will go to 50 megahertz SE30. Wow, we're not that. Well, where is it? Yeah, here it is, Mac SE30. Under M for Mac, not S for SE30. Right, so let's have a look. CPU 0.47 compared to 0.2 something? I can't read that, that's too small. No, I really can't read that. Hang on. There we go. That's a little bit better. Better for everyone, not just me. Okay, so there we go. 0.27 versus 0.47. Definite difference there. The graphics a little bit slower, but who knows what the cause of that is. 0.57 disk. Okay, so the math's faster as well. Look at that. 1.27 versus 0.97. Yeah, look at all of that math. So it's actually had an impact, I guess, increasing the clock speed, increase the clock speed for the FPU as well. That would be my guess. So yeah, I guess that means that our FPU is being overclocked. But yeah, that's a good result. So that's working. So that's another thing I can send back to the owner. Yay! So let's compare it. Is there a Color Classic here we can compare it to? Color Classic, here we go. So Color Classic, and let's compare it to an original SE30, not this one. Wow. There's heaps faster, someone said in the chat. Heaps faster, they said. SE30, I'm not sure. I'd go from 0.27 to 0.25 as heaps. It's definitely, I don't know if they did the Color Classic with an FPU, and I guess they have to have because there's all those FPU results. So, yeah. I mean, look, this is just a benchmark. It's not necessarily working using it day by day, but it's not bucket loads faster than the Color Classic. So, just saying. Effing controller. Hi Bruce, just wanted to say thank you for your videos. They gave me the skills and confidence to repair an old Performer 476 that I've been having a great time playing around with. You are most welcome, and thank you very much for joining the stream and taking the time to say that. Now the 476, can someone remind me what the 476 is? Because wasn't that one of the ones that was another computer that, was it a 475 with just some variations or something? Because there was a time, yeah, so it's a 475, yeah. So what was the difference between a 475 and a 476? It probably just came with bundled software or something like that. Just curious to know. Bigger hard drive, there we go, okay. One of my favorite computers, the only thing wrong, see, I told you I've got lots of favorites. When it comes to the pizza box, you know, the 475, you know, with its 040 CPU, and it's a really, really usable little computer. I really like them. You can load them up with a fair bit of RAM and everything. The only downside with a 475, 476, 605, they're all the same computer, is the brittle plastics on them. They were the spindler plastics. If you take an LC3, it came out a little bit before it, and then you take a 475, the LC3 you can be pretty brutal with them, and the plastics don't break. Jump across to the 475, all you have to do is look at the plastics and they snap. It's a real shame. It's just such a shame that that's happened to so many of these computers. Anyhow, look, that's all worked out well, so I'm probably going to wrap things up now, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I do actually have other work to do, the sort of work that I actually get paid reasonable money for, as opposed to this recapping stuff where I get paid next to nothing. Oops, that always happens. Speedometer crashes when I quit out of it. Well, not always, but it happens a lot of the time on slower computers. It doesn't seem to do it on faster computers, but when you're on a slower computer, it tends to do that. Quadra-sized. Show us Joe's board. All right, okay, I have to go inside for that. So if you wouldn't mind just holding on for a second, I am going to go get Joe's board from inside so you can see it. So I'm going to press the back soon button. You're going to hear the back soon music. You'll hear, which is a little bit loud, so fingers on your volume controls. I'll just shut this down. Shut down. Shut down. There we go. And it is now safe to switch off your Macintosh. All right, I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Back soon. Hello. How are you today? I forgot the pins again. I was going to come down with the pins, but I forgot them again. But I did remember the board, but I got distracted because there's a whole stack of deliveries for me up there. Frustratingly, large boxes full of recapping to do. Frustratingly large. But I got this. Pull here to open. Pulled. It's a delivery from Mousy. Mousy Electronics. Mouse. Exciting stuff like SD card slots. Loads of SD card slots. Joe knows what these are for, because I'm sure he has a a very similar quantity of these for the old blue scuzzying. And I've got me some capacitors, resistor nets, little Berg connectors, more resistor nets, and some diodes, which basically means that I can go back to my online store and say that I have stock again of blue scuzzies, because I sold my last one yesterday or today. And so I can now go back and say, I've got stock. Yay, that's teetering. Okay, I promised a board. Well, mousy. I promised a board, and I am a man of my word. Sort of. There it is. Joe's board. I put a sticker on it that says Joe's because it's got no barcode on it. So I typically, what I do with boards is I file them with based on the barcode number. Because this has no barcode, I assume it came off with the battery bombing. Ooh, look at that. Gosh. Yeah, so should we plug it in and see what it does? See, it's got no caps on it. This will work without the caps, won't it, Joe? It does work without the caps, doesn't it? No sound, but I'm sure it works without the cap. So, should we fire it up? Fire it up and see what happens? Call it Joe Car Electronics. Yes, that's a reference to an Australian electronic company out here called J-Car. Right, let's get some RAM. I'm going to just borrow it from this guy's computer. Today, that's what we will do today. We'll give this a testing. SE30 boots without caps. Yes, I was pretty sure that was the case. Now these, I'm pretty sure, are ones. And not 256s. Very small. 256. Maybe they are 256s. I don't want that. Can't have that. Well, I've got to take the RAM out of the other one anyway because it's going into the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'll whip the RAM off the other board that I just balanced up here, rather precariously. I'll take that RAM. I'll use my red ROM, if I can find it. It's here somewhere, falling down the side. The Rominator, by the way, is what I'm looking for when I say red ROM. Stuff it, we'll just use this ROM. It's there, it's here, it's in this general vicinity, but I don't want to waste any time. Incidentally, this thing comes with some software. Don't know what the software does. I don't know if you can disable it and enable it or something like that. I mean, it just came on then with the accelerator. So, yeah, not really sure what the software would do. Operate some sort of cache or something? I don't know. It's not like the Radius rocket where it won't do anything unless you've got the software installed. You wouldn't be able to switch it off because it doesn't have the old CPU there anymore. So what am I talking about? Nonsense is what I'm talking. Welcome to a Brankus nonsense stream. I hate these things. I just hate them. You know, bending these things to get the RAM out, but not wanting to break them. It's infuriating. It's gonna make you sweat. Javier, welcome, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, if you are arriving because you think that I'm going to be looking at your SE30 board today, I'm afraid I am looking at this board. I know it says Joe's, I know it's yours, but we are going to just fire it up and see what it does. See if it's magically fixed itself while being transported from one side of the globe to the other, which of course never happens, but we'll do it anyway. All right, so we've got some RAM in here. We don't have any of the tant caps on, but it should still work. Won't have any sound, of course, but I'm not even going to plug in a speaker. Let's get the old chassis out. And we'll point this at the camera again. Side view. There we go. I've got to move it back a little. Oh, no, forward. Move it forward. There we go. There we go. So you can see the screen. You can see whatever it's going to do or not do, as the case may be. You have the front row seat as to what this thing is going to do. So I've got the board plugged in. We've got 4 megs of RAM. We've got a ROM. Sorry, I just heard some weird noises. Anyhow. Now we're going to plug some power in and we're just going to see what happens. Now I am expecting one of two things to appear on the screen. I am expecting either CMAC pattern or what is it, vertical lines or is it horizontal lines? Swap out those SIM sockets for ones with metal locking tabs. Yes, I mean I could do that. I do have a few of them. But I hate removing RAM sockets. It's a nightmare. Okay, ready? Switching them on. 3, 2, 1. Powered on. Yep, horizontal lines. There we go. So that's one of the two things that you would expect to get. Horizontal lines or CMAC pattern. And it's horizontal lines for us today. So yeah, a little bit of work to do on this one, no doubt about that. That's not going to be done today because I need to get in front of the computer and actually do work where people pay me for it. You know, as in proper money. I can't actually make enough money from recapping to, you know, exist in the luxurious fashion that I'm used to with fancy new bathrooms. Okay. But I do want to have a quick look at this under the microscope. And then I will probably just sign off the stream. We've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So, and it has been a lot of fun for me. I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed today. Scope view. There we go. Right, so these are our little mux chips there. Oh, there's some fanciness going on here. Look at that. Look at that. Now, is this Joe work or is this Steve work? I think this is Steve work. Gosh, look at that. Look at that. Boy, okay. So then we've got, this is where most of the silliness is going on. Whoa, look at that. We've got a wire going the other side of the board, which of course, as everyone knows, I don't tolerate. We're missing a lovely little diode there. I've got spares of those. That's just the diode that protects against, it does one of two things. It either protects it against the battery being put in the wrong way, or it switches between whether the clock is powered. If the computer's switched on, the clock is powered by the mains power. If the computer's switched off, the clock is powered by the battery. Got ourselves a little real-time clock chip there. I've got a few of those spares. Don't need it, but I've got some spare. That's nasty. That's real nasty. This is actually going to be fun. Quite looking forward to this. Now, I just want to make a mention. I don't know if it's been done yet. It's probably going to be submitted soon or already has been. But LMNO, I'm not sure if I don't think he's here today in the chat. LMNO, who is a great contributor to all these things, he's putting together or has put together a guide on diagnosing an SE30 with problems. And he has put together this table where if you've got an oscilloscope, you can actually connect it up and find out if one of your ROM data paths is incomplete. Really, really handy thing. So you can virtually just sit there with an oscilloscope and just check the frequencies on each of the pins and then find out where a particular data path is gone. So, look, this isn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting this to be way, way worse than it is. So I think we'll have this done in no time. Ah, dear. Wow. That's interesting. Yep, that's definitely interesting. And let's have a look on the other side, because that's where all the joy is. So unlike the that's interesting. I'm not sure I would have even bothered to do those PDS slot connections yet. I thought we would just left them till the end. But one of the things about the SE30 board, which is different to some of the other boards that came before it, and indeed some of the boards that came after it, it's a 6-layer board. It's not a 4-layer board. So if you've got some of these vias get damaged, you can end up breaking a connection between 2 levels of the board, and that can then cause a problem. And I did actually have an SE30 with that exact issue, and that involved me then having to run a little wire from one of these ROM sim connectors up here somewhere. That's a little wire on the outside. What's that? Missing a bit of solder in that hole. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was expecting worse. I mean, it's not to say it's not going to be a nightmare to get fixed or anything like that, but I actually thought this was going to look a lot worse than it does. Just going to do my normal little looking around thing that I do. See, that's funky. Look at that. I have to ask, who chewed this up like this? Who tore the pads and stuff? It doesn't seem likely that you would have done that, Joe. Tag, you're it. Wasn't you? Okay, yeah. I didn't think so. I would not have expected this sort of mincing of traces. La 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 la. Oh, someone set the power connector off by the looks of it. Oh, that's nice. Oh, there as well. Wow. Someone's done a number on those. Gosh, okay. I shall not judge. I know it was not Steve and it was not Joe. Maybe a previous owner of the board. I certainly am not going to accuse Javier of doing this. Even though it may well be him. But I'm not going to accuse him of that. No way. He's not a kind person. Okay, what do we got? I think Javier inherited it that way. Yeah, fair enough. Looking at my old work. Well, see, this is the thing. This is a really important thing, and because this is why a year going by kind of makes it a bit of an oddity, and that is that you have a microscope now, and you have the ability to do much, much finer and more detailed work. I don't know what Steve's excuse is, but that's certainly an excuse you can use. I'm terrible. Sorry, I'll stop that. No, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, as I have said before, I hate running wires from one side of the board to the other. But I know that the primary goal with this has just been about getting it working, Get it working first, worry about tidying it up afterwards, which I get totally. All right, well, I think that's going to be it. I do need to stop and have some lunch because I'm super hungry. So who's streaming next? I'm going to drop that SE30 into the board that I was working on before into the ultrasonic cleaner, get it all nice and sparkly, and then I can send that back to the owner. Well, I can't yet because I've still got a stack more of stuff to do for them. The little accelerator thing, which I need to whip off now as well. I don't know how that's going to come off. That works too. I'm overjoyed about that. That's really, really good because I think someone actually sent this to me from a whole nother country. Pretty sure it came to me from overseas. Got to get this thing off. And I really should take some high-res photos of it so that I can potentially replicate it, like in Star Wars. Earl Grey tea, hot. And a Sonnet accelerator board, please. Sorry, I don't actually do a particularly good, what's his name, Patrick Stewart impressions, so I really shouldn't have even tried. I'm looking for my goggles. Oh, they're up in the house. So my glasses that allow me to see things better. Oh, hello. Because I am getting, my vision is getting worse and worse as I get old. Anyone out there who is not aware of that fact, it does happen. It's very normal, but no one told me. And so I was very upset when I found out. I went to the eye specialist and I said, why can't I see very well anymore? They said, it's because of your age. It's like, no, that's not good enough. You need to do better than that. All right, I'm going to get out a screwdriver to get that out. I'm not going to do that now. All right, Star Trek. Did someone say Star Wars or did I say Star Wars? Okay, all right, that's all good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the super chat, super stickers. Thank you for keeping me company. Thanks for keeping the chat all lively. That was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it. I am going to obviously stream working on Joe's board as well at a later date, maybe this weekend, but it's something that I want to plan well ahead for so that I can get it all out onto the socials and let people know when it's happening, make sure they can join me. So, have a good one. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, day, whatever it happens to be, and I will see you next time. Bye now.